Hi.
Today we're gonna talk about
The first word ว่า Yay.
What is the other name of World War One?
World War I, also known as the First World War or the Great War.
How long did the war last for?
It lasts for about 4 years, from 1914 to 1918. World War I was the war that has killed many people. It is the sixth history of the number of dead people. About 40 million people died in this war. What is the reason they are fighting?
Revolution, industry, and nationalism.
What country that joined the World War I?
Germany, Australia, and Italy. And another side is Russia, France, and England.
Reasons of the war.
It damaged economic, people and buildings and was forced to sign the treaty.
Order of the war.
Australia fight with Serbia. Russia and France help Serbia. German help Australia. German fight with France.
Once Belgium has been neutralized by the British, so Britain declared war on Germany. Britain and France declared war on Austria-Hungary.
World War I was a result of a political power struggle. On one side were the Allies, on the other the Central Powers of Germany, Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire. On the 4th of August 1914, Britain declared war. New Zealand joined the war not as an independent country, but as proud subjects of the British Empire. Within days, thousands of Kiwi men had volunteered, believing they were embarking on a big adventure. Incredibly, almost 50% of men of military age served in the New Zealand Expeditionary Forces. Our first role in the war was to capture German-controlled Samoa. When they landed in Apia, the German governor surrendered with no resistance. Travelling to Egypt to training camps was often the first time the Kiwi soldiers had been overseas. Over 2,500 Māori and Pacific Islanders served with the New Zealand Expeditionary Force. But men weren't the only ones to go to war. 500 women also served as nurses. 10 of them paid the ultimate sacrifice when their ship was sunk by a German U-boat. For 5 years, our soldiers fought in battles from Gallipoli to the Western Front and the Middle East. Then finally, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, the war ended. By this time, 18,500 New Zealand soldiers had died, and at least another 40,000 were wounded. Anzac Day honours those who served in war. World War I is famous for the use of trench warfare. Trenches were used from Gallipoli to the Western Front. They were a series of ditches hand-dug into the ground to protect the soldiers from enemy bullets and artillery. Soldiers would fight, eat and sleep in the trenches. No man's land between the trenches was the most deadly place to be. Aside from the typical threats of war, soldiers were also dying from the miserable conditions. Unwashed men and dead bodies were a shock to soldiers arriving for the first time. Lice, ticks and flies were a major problem, causing never-ending itches and spreading trench fever. Millions of rats lived in the trenches, feeding on the scraps of war. Some grew to be the size of cats. Standing in the wet, muddy conditions on the Western Front caused trench foot, which could lead to amputations. The New Zealand soldiers lived on a grueling diet of corned beef, jam and stew, topped off with hard, dry biscuits. At Gallipoli, the Anzacs had few grenades, so they turned their empty jam tins into homemade bombs. During the war, a new deadly weapon was deployed: poison gas. Soldiers would cover their faces with rags soaked in urine until gas masks were developed to give them better protection. By the end of World War I, advances in more mobile technology changed the way wars would be fought in the future.
By the end of the war,